According to the definition of a bathroom as an area including a basin with one or more faucets, a toilet, and usually a tub or shower for use by humans and intended as a room or space in which to perform activities associated with hygiene, bathing, and elimination of bodily waste, a walk-in closet that is only accessible through the bathroom and that does not contain any of these fixtures such as a sink, toilet, tub or shower is not considered part of the bathroom area. Because the closet is not considered part of the bathroom area, it is not subject to the bathroom branch circuit requirements as outlined in Article 406.4d of the National Electrical Code. This means that there are a couple of options for adding an outlet to the closet, such as for the purpose of ironing. Firstly, one could add an outlet to a lighting circuit. Secondly, one could add an outlet from the bathroom branch circuit. Adding an outlet to a lighting circuit is likely the simpler and more convenient solution. However, adding an outlet from the bathroom branch circuit is also an option, although it will require extending the bathroom branch circuit into the closet. It is important to consider the load on the circuit to ensure that it is not overloaded by the addition of the outlet and the intended use of the outlet. Before starting any electrical work, it is essential to understand the relevant electrical codes and safety regulations. Local codes may have additional requirements or restrictions that must be followed. If unsure about any aspect of the electrical work, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician. When adding an outlet to a lighting circuit, it is crucial to ensure that the circuit has sufficient capacity to handle the additional load. The total load in the circuit, including the new outlet, should not exceed the circuit's rating. Typically, lighting circuits are rated for either 15 amps or 20 amps. To determine the available capacity, calculate the existing load in the circuit and subtract it from the circuit's rating. The remaining capacity is the amount of additional load that can be added without overloading the circuit. For example, if a 15 amp lighting circuit already has a load of 10 amps, then only 5 amps of additional load can be added. Most portable appliances, such as irons, will have a wattage rating on their nameplate. To convert wattage to amperage, divide the wattage by the voltage of the circuit. In the United States, the standard voltage for residential circuits is 120 volts. So, if an iron is rated for 1200 watts, the amperage draw would be 1200 watts divided by 120 volts, which equals 10 amps. In this case, the iron would overload the example 15 amp circuit that already had a 10 amp load. It's also important to consider the type of wire used for the circuit. The wire must be sized appropriately for the circuit's amperage rating. For a 15 amp circuit, a minimum of 14 American wire gauge copper wire is required. For a 20 amp circuit, a minimum of 12 American wire gauge copper wire is required. If aluminum wire is used, larger gauge sizes are required to carry the same amount of current. When extending the bathroom branch circuit into the closet, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety regulations. This includes using the correct type of wire, properly grounding the outlet, and ensuring that all connections are secure. Bathroom branch circuits are typically required to be protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter, commonly known as a ground fault circuit interrupter. A ground fault circuit interrupter is a safety device that detects ground faults and interrupts the circuit to prevent electrical shock. This requirement is intended to protect people from electrical shock in areas where water is present. While the closet itself may not be considered part of the bathroom, if the circuit is extended from the bathroom branch circuit, it is generally recommended to continue the ground fault circuit interrupter protection to the outlet in the closet. This will provide an additional layer of safety. When installing the outlet, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions and to use the correct tools and materials. The outlet should be securely mounted in a suitable electrical box. The wires should be connected to the outlet terminals according to the wiring diagram. The ground wire should be connected to the ground terminal. After the outlet is installed, it should be tested to ensure that it is working properly. A simple outlet tester can be used to verify that the outlet is properly wired and grounded. If any problems are detected, they should be corrected before using the outlet. In addition to the technical aspects of adding an outlet, it is also important to consider the aesthetic aspects. The outlet should be installed in a location that is convenient and accessible but also does not detract from the appearance of the closet. The outlet cover should be chosen to match the decor of the closet. It is also important to consider the placement of the outlet in relation to the ironing board. The outlet should be located so that the ironing cord can reach the outlet without being stretched or tangled. This will help to prevent accidents. When working with electricity, it is always important to take precautions to protect oneself from electrical shock. Firstly, always turn off the power to the circuits at the circuit breaker before starting any work. Secondly, use insulated tools to avoid contact with live wires. Thirdly, wear rubber gloves and safety glasses to protect oneself from electrical shock and arc flash. Fourthly, never work on electrical equipment when wet or damp. Fifthly, if unsure about any aspect of the electrical work, consult with a qualified electrician. Ignoring these safety precautions can lead to serious injury or even death. Local codes often have specific requirements for the installation of outlets in closets. For example, some codes may require that the outlet be located at a certain height above the floor or that it be protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter. It is important to check the local codes before starting any work to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable requirements. The National Electrical Code, or National Electrical Code, is a widely adopted standard for electrical installations in the United States. The National Electrical Code provides detailed requirements for the installation of electrical wiring and equipment, including outlets. While the National Electrical Code is not law, it is often adopted by state and local governments as part of their building codes. Therefore, it is important to be familiar with the National Electrical Code requirements when installing an outlet. Article 406 of the National Electrical Code covers the requirements for receptacles, cord connectors, and attachment plugs, which includes outlets. This article specifies the types of outlets that are permitted in different locations, as well as the installation requirements for those outlets. Article 210 of the National Electrical Code covers the requirements for branch circuits, which includes the wiring that supplies power to outlets. This article specifies the minimum size of the wire that must be used for different circuit ratings, as well as the overcurrent protection requirements for those circuits. Article 250 of the National Electrical Code covers the requirements for grounding and bonding, which are essential for electrical safety. This article specifies the methods for grounding electrical equipment and for bonding metal parts together to create a low impedance path for fault current. These are just a few of the many articles in the National Electrical Code that are relevant to the installation of an outlet. It is important to consult the National Electrical Code for complete and accurate information. In summary, when adding an outlet to a closet near a bathroom, it is important to consider the definition of a bathroom, the allowable circuits, and the applicable electrical codes and safety regulations. By following these guidelines, one can safely and effectively add an outlet to the closet for the purpose of ironing or other uses. Remember that it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician if one is unsure about any aspect of the electrical work.